Hey everyone, welcome to another Zwift race analysis video. Today I'm back on the Crit City race with category enforcement on 10 laps of the downtown Dolphin route. In this race, I had been planning an attack with Eric Shalang at Zwift Insider, and our first attack is coming up here on the cobbled climbs. Our plan was to go easy up the cobbled climbs, then after the climb finished, we would go do an all-out sprint and see if we could make the race a bit more interesting. We also plan to do a second attack on the second to last lap, lap number 9, where we would do an attack on the cobbled climbs and see if we could hold it. Heading up the climb here, I did not go too hard, I just tried to stay steady and stay near the front of the group. Heading up the climb, I slowly make my way to the front of the group. A lot of riders are using their power-ups, but I'm holding mine to use for the attack. And right here, I start going. You can see that Zwift Insider is also starting his sprint. The truck boost probably wasn't the most helpful power-up here, but it still helped a bunch to get me slingshotted through these few riders and off the front of the group. You can see here that we're starting to get a small gap of around 1 second, but the gap really isn't that much. Through the rollers here, you see Eric come to the front here for his pull, and we're not really getting a significant gap, but we continue to keep going just to see if we can cause some damage to the group. I'm also still recovering from a cold, so my heart rate was pretty elevated, and the race felt harder than it should have felt. We got a gap of around 2 seconds at most, and then the gap started to close with D. Manalo from OTR on the front pulling the group. Here we both knew that this breakaway was not going to hold, so we eased off and waited for the group to catch. Once I got back onto the group, we settled into a steady rhythm and just rested and recovered for our next attack, which was on the second to last lap. Before, when I was racing C and I was a very low NB, breakaways weren't really an option, but now that I'm a stronger B and I'm able to sit in with the group, it's become an option. Okay, so finishing up the 8th lap here, I had an aero power-up that I was saving. I wasn't sure if I should use it for the attack because I still wanted to have energy for the sprint if the attack didn't work. And let's see how this all plays out. Okay, into the second to last lap here, you see, based off my power graph, I was going pretty easy and I was recovering pretty well after the attack. I was just doing some small surges on the cobbled climb where riders tend to attack and raise the pace. Here we're coming into the final stretch before our attack. I'm easing up and lowering my heart rate. I try to get a bit closer to the front of the group so that I can get a better positioning for our attack, and let's go. As soon as I hit the cobbles here, I went as hard as I could. I was just grinding up the cobbles. And you can see here some riders are using their power-ups. I'm not using my power-up yet because I want to hold it just in case it does come down to the finishing sprint, since the aero power-up is the best power-up in the game. Here you can see Eric up on the front and pulling. He's using his aero boost now. So something I should have probably done was once his aero boost run out, I should have started using mine in order to get a bigger gap on the group. Since it's the second to last lap, a lot of the riders are not going very hard since they're trying to recover before the final lap where they're going to need their 1 minute power and their finishing sprint. As we go over rollers here, I pull forward for my pull, and right now my heart rate is already at 212, which is really close to my max, and I don't have a ton of energy left, and since I'm still recovering from a cold, this effort's incredibly hard for me. You can see here that we've got 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds now on the rest of the group. They're still about around the corner here, and we're coming into the final lap at around 30 miles per hour. I'm thinking that this still has a chance to hold, and we should keep at it, so we continue to work hard. You can see here that we still have over 5 seconds on the group behind, and L. Ronan is trying to close the gap of our breakaway. Some other riders behind are doing around 5 to 6 watts per kg, trying to pull this back in because they're not really sure if we're going to be able to stay away till the finish. Here I'm a bit hesitant on whether I should continue to do the attack or we should ease and wait to catch the group. But ultimately, easing is not the best decision here because if I were to ease, I still don't have any energy to continue on. Here you see L. Ronan coming up and passing us and doing around 7 watts per kg, which is incredibly strong. I'm starting to get dropped a bit here, so I decided to pull my aero boost, which is actually a terrible decision because I actually end up pulling way ahead, which ruins the whole teamwork element of this. So something that I should have done was on that flat portion there where our speeds were dropping, I should have been using my aero boost at that point. Here you see Eric turn on his featherweight, and we're catching a small group that fell behind a few laps ago. And looking at my power graph, I'm going incredibly hard, and I'm probably going to get some new PRs around the 2 to 3 minute time range. And looking at the mini map, there's tons of riders behind us, and we're about to get swarmed by the group. Here I've already given up. I have nothing left in the tank, and I'm ready to just quit here. So here I think, oh, maybe I can catch on to the group and still have energy for a sprint, but I had nothing left. The tank was empty. This was definitely a very fun and interesting race, and it was actually my first time attacking on Crit City because I normally don't have a rider to help me on the downhills because I'm extremely light, so it's inefficient to go hard on the downhill. Right behind me, you see Scott from KOM Hunt TV, another YouTuber, and the Zwift Insider just riding right by me here. I don't bother to chase. I'm just chilling now because I've done my part. I'm tired. In the end, this was actually a great race to try and attack, and huge thanks to Eric Schilling for organizing this breakaway that we tried here, and yeah, I had a lot of fun. The reason why it was actually a really good race to do an attack was because the ranks on Zwift Power weren't actually that great, so it was a great opportunity to try something new. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. I'm back to Zwift Racing, so look out for some content every other day or somewhere around that. See ya.